Yogiri is having a dream about his instant death ability when he is woken by Tomichika Danaura, who yells at him for being asleep during such a disaster. He then finds two of his classmates killed by a dragon and hits the beast with a microphone, and it flies up in rage as it charges at him, breathing fire out of its mouth. Just then, Yogiri uses his ability, which kills the dragon, and it falls to the ground, lifeless. Tomochika then tells him about their bus passing through a tunnel and ending up in a sunny meadow where a woman named Shion enters the bus and introduces herself as a sage, telling the students that they were chosen to be prospective sages and brought into a new world. Shion installs a system in the students and tells them that it is called a gift. However, Tomichika doesn't receive it, and when she asks Shion about it, she tells her that she's not a match. Later, the gifted students are given their first quest to defeat the dragon and head out of the bus. Tomochika realizes that Shinozaki, Kiryu, and Yogiri also did not receive the gift. Kiryu and Shinozaki decide to join the others, but they're stopped from leaving the bus, and the leader of the gifted students tells them that they will be used as decoys to ensure everyone else's safety and locks them in the bus. The dragon then attacks the bus, killing Shinozaki and Kiryu before Yogiri wakes up and annihilates it. Yogiri and Tomochika head out of the bus, and Tomochika spots some of her classmates flying towards them. The boys are surprised to see the two alive. Higashida shows off his fireball ability before telling Tomochika to surrender herself so that they can use her. But Yogiri uses his ability to kill him and Fukuhara. Later, Hanakawa tells him that this is not the first time he has come to this world, and was invited by the Magi of the Iman Kingdom to defeat the Demon Lord. And Yogiri realizes that there is a chance to go back to their world. Yogiri refuses to forgive Hanakawa for trying to harass Tomochika. Hanakawa then puts a magical item in his neck, telling Tomochika that wearing this will make him her servant. But she refuses to accept him and hands him over to Yogiri. The scene changes to Shion lying in her bed when Yoichi comes to her to give her the progress report about the prospective sages, telling her that the first mission has been cleared with some casualties. Shion assumes that the 4 people with no abilities have died, but is surprised to hear that 2 of the ones killed were S-rank sages. Tomochika and Yogiri reach the town and tell the soldiers that they got separated from their group. However, Masahiko refuses to help them reach the capital, and the two set off on their own. They explore the town and run into a girl named Mireia, who has cat ears. She asks them if they need any help, and the two decide to use her assistance as Tomochika wants to look around the town. However, Mireia turns out to be a part of a bandit group, and the two are surrounded by armed gangsters later that night. The bandits assume they have no abilities, but Yogiri kills them, along with Mireia. Some guards then appear and ask the two about the situation, to which Yogiri says they found them dead. But the captain Edelgard tells him that they saw everything, and didn't help the two because they were trying to root out their backing. However, one of the soldiers named George tells Edelgard that the two don't possess any abilities, and apologizes for his captain's rudeness. Meanwhile, Edelgard finds that one of the bandits is still alive, and the soldiers take him along. The scene changes to Yogiri and Tomochika getting rooms at a hotel. Tomochika is amazed by how big her room is, jumping happily on the bed. She then wonders if Yogiri likes her, as he had asked if she wants to share a room with him. Just then, a spirit appears, and Tomochika assumes she is her elder sister. But the spirit introduces herself as Mokomoko Danaura, Tomochika's ancestor and guardian spirit. Mokomoko tells Tomochika to tell Yogiri about her so that he doesn't kill her, also revealing that she was the one who stopped the system from being installed into her, because the ones who receive the gift are completely under the sage's control. The next morning, the concierge of the hotel, named Celestina, provides Yogiri and Tomochika with everything they need, along with tickets to the capital. The scene shifts to the two heading to the capital in a train when their cabin is attacked. Meanwhile, Edelgard and her comrades try to interrogate the bandit they had captured. Lane, a vampire sage, tries to heal his eyes before biting his neck, inducting him into her bloodline to improve his physical abilities. But it doesn't work. The palace is then attacked by a brave class warrior named Ain. Ain attacks Lane, but she resists the attacks and asks him why he's attacking a sage when he should be fighting the Demon Lord. Ain angrily charges at her, saying that he will eradicate every sage in the world and uses his sword's magic to destroy the palace. Meanwhile, Satoru attacks Tomochika and Yogiri and tells them that it is their duty to praise a sage. But Tomochika kills him instead. Lane appears in front of Ain and asks him if the name of his lover is Ariel, and Ain stares at her in shock as she's still alive, and Lane orders Edelgard to track Yogiri's whereabouts. Edelgard and George later find Satoru dead near the destroyed train, and Shion discusses Yogiri and Tomochika's instant death magic with Lane. Lane says that someone who can kill sages should not be taken lightly, and Shion tells her to not lay hands on the sage candidates and only work on driving out the aggressors. Lane later orders Masayuki to lead an army of immortals to Hanabusa. Meanwhile, Yogiri and Tomochika decide to rest in a forest for some time. Yogiri and Tomochika reach the city of Hanabusa and go to a high-rise hotel where they meet Tachibana, one of their gifted classmates. He introduces them to his bodyguards, who are 5 girls specially chosen from among all of his servants. Yogiri suspects that Tachibana is also one of the students who was left behind with them. Tachibana asks Tomochika to become his mistress, saying he can take Yogiri in as a servant since he is his classmate. Tomochika and Yogiri get annoyed by Tachibana's statements, and Tomochika asks him what makes him so confident, and he tells her that his ability is Dominator, which allows him to control lower-ranked opponents as slaves. He then tells her that after clearing the first mission, Utori, who has the consultant ability, advised him to leave his peers, as he is being avoided by them for being a Dominator, and purchase some level 1 servants who can win wars, which will make the losing enemies his servants too. He then asks Tomochika again for becoming his mistress, but she refuses, and he leaves after telling her to rethink. Meanwhile, Lane faces the Darkness Sage, thinking that it stands no chance against her. Tomochika is waiting for Yogiri to wake up when she decides to head out to get some air. But she suddenly notices smoke rises from amongst the buildings. The scene shifts to Lane's undead army invading Hanabusa. Tomochika closes the curtains, deciding to stay in the cozy hotel room. But Mokomoko tells her that she feels a presence in the room but cannot see it. Tomochika then calls Yogiri to wake him up, and he wakes up from the ringing phone. As he heads out of his room, he uses his ability and finds Erika, one of Tachibana's servants, using invisibility magic to spy on Tomochika, and kills her. He then decides to leave the room with Tomochika, as Erika's death will lead to a fight with Tachibana. Meanwhile, Tachibana takes down a level 100 demon and makes him his servant. He and his other servants then try to find out what happened with Erika, and Euphemia speculates that Erika went to bring Tomochika to him and please him, or get rid of her. And Tachibana sends Riza and Chelsea to capture Tomochika. But Yogiri defies their magic and kills Riza, while Chelsea gets scared and gives up. Tachibana then sends an army of cockroaches to surround Yogiri and Tomochika, later ordering the bugs to kill Yogiri. But Yogiri reaches Tachibana through the cockroach's sight and kills him. Euphemia then decides to leave since she's been released from Tachibana's contract and heads out, only to find the entire place turned into a desert after the Dark Sage passes through, and Lane transforms Euphemia into her follower. Meanwhile, Yogiri and Tomochika make their way out of the hotel and find the city invaded by the undead army of Lane. Yogiri realizes that they can escape by moving very cautiously. Meanwhile, Miyazuki takes away the key to the city's barrier from Takahashi before announcing that he is looking for Yogiri and Tomochika, telling the citizens to bring the two to the central plaza within an hour. However, Yogiri decides to negotiate with Miyazuki. The two head to the central plaza, and Yogiri tells Miyazuki to remove the barrier so they can travel to the capital. But Miyazuki orders his undead army to attack him. Yogiri kills the undead, which makes Miyazuki confused and furious, and he decides to attack Yogiri in his monster form. But Yogiri kills him instead. Takahashi then tells the two about Lane wanting to kill them before the citizens of Hanabusa start to walk towards the central plaza as if possessed by spirit magic, while Lane manipulates the city's barriers. She lets the darkness enter Hanabusa, saying that she can cause an event resulting in Tomochika and Yogiri's deaths. Yogiri senses hostility in the atmosphere just before the darkness enters the city, while Lane creates copies of herself with no memories of Yogiri's natural disaster. He then orders the clones to rush the city when the darkness attacks or dies. Meanwhile, Tomochika tells Yogiri to do something, and he uses his ability to kill the darkness, which works. Just then, red flashes start to rain down, and Tomochika tells Yogiri that she is seeing a woman wearing a red dress coming down from the sky in hordes. Takahashi says that it is Lane who's using her super regeneration ability to split into clones. He then shows the two a bird's-eye view of the city, telling them about the attacks of the Lanes he has been analyzing, later teleporting the group to the next point the clones will be attacking. Yogiri kills the clone while Mokomoko builds an armor around him, and Tomochika using the device she got from the aggressor they met earlier, called Furemaru. Lane, on the other hand, realizes that all of her copies have been destroyed since they were made using the same template, and decides to make copies that are slightly different. But her main body dies as well. The scene shifts to a young girl waking up in a casket. She watches the message Lane left behind, in which she is told that Lane's scheme was a success and she has survived after Lane's death. And she is a copy made from her, but is also a separate person who did not inherit any of her memories. Meanwhile, Tomochika says goodbye to Takahashi before getting into a vehicle with Yogiri and Mokomoko. Later that night, a samurai sage named Ryoko annihilates a beast in the forest before heading back to her camp. She then finds Carol inside her tent, who gives her phone back, telling her that she had taken it secretly to check if the monitoring tool they prepared for tracking Yogiri is working.